Hey everybody, it's Nate with Sauce Ain't the Boss here again, and today is day number 311 of quitting alcohol. Do you have a drinking problem? That's a question I used to ask myself when I was drinking. Early on, I started to think, when do you have a drinking problem? And the term alcoholic, what does that really mean? Some people consider an alcoholic that down and out person that's drinking all the time under an overpass, that's homeless, that looks like the stereotypical alcoholic, right? An alcoholic to me is somebody that is dependent on alcohol, that uses it to deal with a lot of things in their life, and they can't seem to stop drinking it when they know they should, right? And I don't really like the term alcoholic because it's such a vague term. Now they use alcohol use disorder. People that drink too much have a disorder now. And I'd like to say none of us should be drinking alcohol for any reason. It's a poison. It's got no health benefits really whatsoever the deeper you dive into it, despite the fact that people think, oh, red wine, does this or that. There's a lot of studies coming out that show the negative effects of alcohol far outweigh anything positive you're ever going to get from it. So bottom line is alcohol is bad for you. It's a poison. It's a toxin for your body. And nothing good really comes from drinking it, right? And so I think that there's just this gray area of folks that drink a lot, but they're not considered alcoholics, but they are kind of alcohol dependent. I know a lot of people that drink almost every night, if not every night, that don't consider themselves alcoholics. But the minute you say, hey, why don't you take a month off and don't drink, there's no way they can do it, right? They go, oh, no, I'm not doing that, And my wife follows this one individual on, I can't remember if it's Instagram or YouTube or something. And anyway, this gal's pretty popular and has a lot of followers. And anyway, she's tried to quit drinking several times. I'm gonna go this month without, and she'll get 2 weeks in, and oh, I just couldn't do it, and then a few months will go by, and she'll try it again, and I think this latest go around, maybe it was like 3 weeks went by, and she picked up the wine again. And does that make her an alcoholic or have alcohol use disorder? I mean, again, it's such a vague thing. Most people would look at this gal and gosh, she's only having a couple of glasses of wine a night. She's not an alcoholic, and but yet when she goes to try to stop drinking it, she can't do it. And I know a lot of people in my life that are that way, that drink a lot, but they don't consider themselves to have a drinking problem. And most people around them don't consider them to have a drinking problem, yet they can't seem to put it down for any length of time, right? And so for me, again, alcohol shouldn't be drank for any reason, so we shouldn't be drinking it. But I know people also though that have maybe alcohol once in a great while. My brother's that way. He may have a beer once a year, or I don't even know if he drinks anymore at all. But it was like, take it or leave it. Could care less about it. And does he have a drinking problem? No, it's not existent for him in that regard. But there's other people that once they start drinking, they just can't stop and they want more and more. And I watched kind of a study documentary thing on alcohol, and they were talking about how some people, the more they drink, the more high they get, the more they want it, the more a lot of these people can be on their like seventh, eighth drink, and they're still kind of coming up, whereas other people are wired where they hit that ultimate high level on like their second drink, and everything else from there just kind of goes to pot, and they don't like the way it starts making them feel. They start feeling nauseous, sick, and woozy, so it's kind of like maybe there's a physical aspect there, mental aspect, where some people are just wired or built differently, the way that they feel when they consume alcohol. And I was kind of that way, that it seemed like the more I drank, the more I wanted, the better I started to feel. Now, I'd also hit this level of where, I didn't want to go. I wasn't one of those people that like to get blackout drunk. I don't think I ever did get blackout drunk ever. But I would start notice when I was like getting really, really drunk. I never liked to go there to where you almost kind of don't know what you're doing. You just feel really kind of everything's spinning, and that wasn't my jam. I'd get like a buzz on, and just kind of maintain it throughout the evening with my drinking. But you know, nonetheless, I mean, I think that there's a lot of people out there that have drinking problems that aren't going to admit to it. Who wants to say I'm an alcoholic or that I have a drinking problem? Number one, it's because they don't want to stop it because it's their crutch for everything that they're dealing with in life that they don't know how to deal with without it. And number two, there's a lot of shame and guilt and embarrassment, I think, around the term alcoholic or to admit that you have a drinking problem. And I was thinking today about just some of the people I know that drink and how I think there's a lot more people out there that really are kind of addicted to alcohol. Maybe not to the level I was or that type of thing. I mean, there's always going to be people worse or better or whatever. But I think that there's a huge alcohol dependency issue in the U.S. here and other countries as well, obviously. And a lot of it is accepted, right? This is an acceptable drug. It's advertised, it's promoted, it's used for so many different things, from celebrating to get-togethers to you name it. I mean, it's just one of those things where it's heavily used and promoted in our culture and society. So it's not really frowned down upon until you get to that place where you're an alcoholic, and then all of a sudden, well, you're an alcoholic, you shouldn't be drinking it. And it's just kind of a crazy world we live in where we promote this stuff, and then this person here is drinking every day and they're fine, and this person can't have it because they're drinking too much. And the bottom line is nobody should be drinking it because it's freaking bad for you, and it can lead to dependency. It's been proven time and time again. And so, back to the initial topic of the video, when do you know that you have a drinking problem? For me, it was when I wanted to stop drinking and I couldn't. I knew that it was starting to create some problems in my life, and I thought, well, I don't want to keep having these negative consequences from this alcohol, and so I'm not going to drink. And then 5 o'clock would roll around after work. Oh, it was a rough day. I'm going to drink. Well, I thought you weren't going to drink today, Nate. Well, I'm going to do it anyway. And I started finding myself, not wanting to do it anymore because bad shit was starting to happen. But then I was compelled and couldn't stop, so to speak. I kept justifying why I should drink anyway, and that went on for a long, long time, for years, right? And so, and then I knew I had a drinking problem. I knew after I tried to stop and I kept going back to it and I couldn't kick it, that I thought, well, I guess this is one day I realized this is what maybe an alcoholic is, or, alcohol use disorder, or whatever you want to call it, a drinking problem. And it was a problem. It was a problem for me. I didn't like it. I didn't like not being in control of my actions. And here I was, habitually compelled to go for the alcohol again and again, even though there was a huge part of me that didn't want to. There was a bunch of bad stuff starting to happen. My health was going to crap. My relationships were going to crap. My finances were getting a hit from how much I was spending on it. There were just so many things that were negative about this stuff, yet I couldn't do without it. I needed it to, fix my boredom problems, for my stress, or whatever reasons I was justifying in my mind why it was okay to keep on drinking it, And so I think you just, most of us that are any bit intuitive at all, we kind of know we have a problem when, you've had probably a similar experience where you don't want to do it, but you keep doing it anyway, and you go, okay, this is a problem, and it's you're taking something bad for you again and again and again, even though you're having bad consequences from it. again, I think that there's probably a lot more people out there that are, have alcohol use disorder, for lack of a better term, that will never admit to it. No one else around them thinks they have a problem, and they'll go to their grave probably, none the wiser. No one else will be none the wiser. It's just they're a drinker, right? I mean, where does that line between a drinker and alcohol use disorder or alcoholic, where does that, it's just so blurry, right? And I guess that all that really, though, it doesn't matter. It all comes down to, you know, alcohol's a poison. The more of it you drink, the worse off you are. You shouldn't be drinking in the first place. But again, does a person having a couple of drinks on the weekend have an alcohol problem? I would say no. But somebody that's using it every single day and they go to stop and they just can't, that's a problem, right? And to what level, though? I mean, there are people that drank a lot more than I ever drank, and there is also people that drank a lot less than I drank that I would consider to have a problem with alcohol. So only you're gonna maybe know, or others around you are noticing it, and saying something to you about it, that hey, you're drinking kind of a lot. That can kind of be an indicator too. But deep down, if you do a little bit of soul searching and asking yourself, you're gonna know. And again, we try to kid ourselves by, well, I'm just a moderate drinker, or I only drink every other day, or just during the weekends, or whatever you want to tell yourself. But I was thinking about how, even if I just now, if for whatever reason, if I went back to alcohol, I just drank on the weekends, let's say, or once in a while. Number one, it's horrible trying to moderate that stuff when you're a big drinker, because you want more and more of it. So you're just putting yourself into a miserable situation to begin with. But if I were to do that, let's say, I would be consuming so many calories on the weekends, having my few drinks or whatever, and taking away from the life I've built now and the health I've built now. That would be a tough pill for me to swallow. I wouldn't want to jeopardize what I've got now and wake up on my weekends hung after going so long feeling good and building this life and building my health back up. And I see what it did to me in the past. And so even these people that are drinking on just the weekends, or evening time once in a while, or special occasion, no, maybe they don't have a problem with alcohol, but it's still not good for you. It's still not good to consume it. So why do it? I guess that's up to each individual person, and whether or not it's worth it in their life or not. For me, it just got to a place where I didn't want it in my life anymore. And so we all have to face whether or not we have a drinking problem, and whether or not it's something that you need to quit for your own well-being and to be the best version of yourself. I really have a hard time saying someone can be the best version of themselves if they're drinking almost at any level, because how can you be the best version of yourself when you're inebriated to any degree, right? So something to think about, guys. So to sum it up, when you go to try to quit drinking, you go, I'm kind of getting tired of this. I know it's causing me some problems, and you still can't seem to kick it. That's a pretty good indicator that you have a drinking problem, and it might be best just to try to, get away from it for good, like I did, because, trying to moderate, like I say, just ends up in misery. I tried to moderate so many times, and it never worked. I've talked to other people that have had drinking problems. Well, I'm just going to drink on the weekends, and then, well, you have a long drink, and a weekend. I'm going to drink on Sunday night too, because it's still the weekend, right? So now you drank 3 nights out of the week, or but then there's that party on Wednesday night I'm going to go to, so then you drink then. It just always ended up, before long at all, I was back to drinking in my old ways every single time I tried to moderate. So maybe it works for some people, but for me, it's just it's like trying to moderate heroin. I'm just going to have a little heroin, right? Like, it just doesn't make sense. If that's your drug of choice, alcohol, you know, why are you trying to sit there and play with fire and moderate it, you know? So that's it for today, guys. If you guys are enjoying these videos, please give them a like, subscribe to the channel if you can, and most importantly, remember, sauce ain't the boss. You are. You guys have a great day.